Before we get into today's video, I want to start with a poll. Hit pause if you need to, scroll down to the comment section, and let me know. Do you want the Commanders to keep their name how it is? Do you want them to change back to the Redskins? Or do you have a different name idea entirely? Whatever your answer is, leave me a reason why and let me know. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Grant Mitchell and we are here to talk about everything going on with the Washington Commanders. Today is Wednesday. It is once again predictably very hot and very sunny outside. I haven't been out there. I would assume it's humid as well because we can't seem to escape that. But the boys are off today. After a couple days in pads and I believe 3 straight training days, they're off getting a much needed rest day before they retool, regroup, and prepare to head up to New England for, of course, the joint practice next Wednesday and the preseason game, which I believe is on Friday. And I think that's right. Whatever the day is, I'm going to be coming out with a pre-game preview of what's to come and what I'm watching for in that game, and then I will post my immediate reaction as soon as the game ends. Well, maybe an hour or two after, so I can record and edit the video. But point being, you're going to get all of that content on top of the daily news content that you have been getting up to this point. If that doesn't deserve a like, then I don't know what does. Seriously, everyone who hits the like button, you help me out tremendously. I also encourage you to hit that subscribe button because, again, you're getting at least 1, sometimes 2 videos every day. As we go through this, also keep in mind, I am building a community here. We are building a community. I'm not recording to just talk into a camera lens. I'm recording so that I can get your opinions. So scroll down to the comments section. Let me know what you think of everything I say. Before I talk about anything that's going on, I just want to say I've been so humbled by the support that I've received so far. It's very early on in this channel, but you guys have been truly amazing, and I appreciate all of you. As I have said numerous times, I would love it where we get to the point in the season where you're hopping on camera with me and we're having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people having a little powwow, a seminar almost, and we're just bouncing around ideas. I think that would be a cool idea for some really interesting content. But let's go ahead and let's talk about the big news of the day, which is we have a Terry McLaurin contract update. Now, although nothing has been finalized, there was a pretty declarative statement that was made by Tony Pauline of Sportskeeda. He said in an article published last night that league sources informed him, his personal sources, that they believe McLaurin will be signing a 2 or 3 year extension worth slightly more than his current $23 million average annual value. The deal should get done sooner than later, according to the report, and it was aided by the Courtland Sutton deal, because Terry wanted DK Metcalf money, maybe even significantly more than DK Metcalf money. That's what Adam Schefter said on the Pat McAfee show. All of a sudden, Courtland Sutton signs a 4-year deal with a $23 million average annual value. McLaurin's been a better player than Sutton over his career, but they had essentially identical seasons last year. Terry had 5 more touchdowns, but Sutton still had 8. I mean, it's not like that was a small amount. There was 1 reception between them and I think 15 receiving yards separating them. Both had rookie quarterbacks. You would say Terry had the better of the 2 rookie quarterbacks because Jayden was Offensive Rookie of the Year. Bo Nix didn't get a single vote. A lot of people like Bo Nix. I'm still not there on him, but point being, I like Jayden a lot more than I like Bo Nix, and I think everybody that doesn't live in Denver would say the same thing. So that definitely aided and bolstered the Commanders' position in these negotiations. If I were to give you my range of where I think Terry kind of should land in this contract negotiation based on his level of ability and also his age, I'm getting this list and I'm looking at the top paid receivers based on average annual value. I think Terry belongs in this range. You got Jaylen Waddle at $28.3 million. He's 27 years old. DJ Moore at $27.5 million. He's 28 years old. Devontae Smith at $25 million. He's 27 years old. Nico Collins at $24.3 million. He is 26 years old. I think Terry is the best player of that bunch, but the next person in terms of the rankings of highest average annual contract value, you go from Jaylen Waddle to T. Higgins. I think if T. Higgins was a number 1 receiver, I think he would have better numbers than Terry. I think already he's as impactful as Terry. It's just easy to ignore because he's teammates with Jamar Chase. And T. Higgins is only 26 years old. I think he's a fresh 26 as well. He just signed a deal worth $28.8 million average annual value. I don't think Terry is worth more than that at this point. The Commanders seem to agree with that. If I'm looking back at the report from Tony Pauline, again of Sportskeeda, he says that the Commanders, he understands from his sources, the Commanders are not willing to go beyond $30 million, which I support them in. I support Terry wanting to get his money. I've seen some comments on my recent videos, which I'm incredibly grateful for. I love the engagement, seriously, and I love your opinions and your thoughts on my opinions. But I've seen some comments that make it seem as if I'm anti-Terry. Someone said I'm even slandering Terry. And I stand by what I said. I think he has been selfish in these negotiations. Now, the counter argument to that is it's his agent, and his agent is just making him look bad. But if Terry is putting his full trust into his agent, and on one hand, the agent's going to get him his money, well, his agent's also going to affect his reputation. And if you're willing to risk that for the money, then you have to be willing to accept the consequences of possible negative backlash. And yes, I believe Terry McLaurin, if he wants significantly more than the fourth highest paid receiver in the NFL, considering he's going to be 30 in the first month of the season, considering he's never had 1,200 receiving yards, considering he was 19th in receptions last year, I do believe that to be selfish. If Terry McLaurin ends up with $28 million, I don't think that's selfish at all. I think that's him getting paid what he is deserved of. But I'm with the Commanders in not wanting to go above $30 million for someone who's going to be 30 years old, knowing that your championship window is open as long as Jayden Daniels is there. And I know people love to make fun of the Commanders because they have the oldest average age roster in the NFL. But a lot of those guys are on one-year deals. They've set the team up so that the moment that there's an opportunity to transition to the future, they can execute that. You know, Bobby Wagner, we love him, but he is on a one-year deal. Zach Ertz, one-year deal. Austin Eckler, one-year deal. A lot of expiring contracts. Von Miller, one-year deal. As soon as you get a Dominique Hampton, a Kane Medrano, a Javonte Jean-Baptiste, one of these guys to step up, whether expectedly or unexpectedly, it's very easy to just move along to the next generation without paying that massive value on the veteran's contract. Apologies for the interruption. I had to sneeze, and I didn't think you wanted to hear me sneeze into this microphone, which I think I did a good job cleaning up. But let's move back into what I was talking about here, which was the Terry McLaurin situation. Despite everything that I just said about this report from Tony Pauline, this morning, Wednesday morning, Ari Merov of the 33rd team went on, not exactly sure if it was podcast or live TV, but there is a recording of him saying that Terry has not indicated he's willing to go below $30 million, and a deal isn't any closer than it was before. Up until this point. Those are the key words there. Terry McLaurin not willing to go below $30 million up until this point. If I'm combining that with Tony Pauline's report that a deal is coming sooner than later, and the timeline may have been influenced by the Courtland Sutton deal, both reports can be true. I know Ari Merov is telling the truth because I've seen it. We've all seen it. We knew Terry wasn't going to go below $30 million. But we're getting to the point where there's a football game in 1 week that the Commanders will be playing in. 9 days. We're getting to that point in the season where you're going to need to start getting ready for the season. And if Terry wants to hold out and he's not going to sign the contract the Commanders present him, he's going to sit out his entire age 30 season and then hit free agency as a 31-year-old trying to make more than $30 million a year for a team that he has proven nothing to. It's not happening. Terry has a small bit of leverage here because the Commanders need him. We're going to talk about the defense dominating the offense in training camp and if that's a concern or not. The Commanders certainly need him, but his leverage is very small in this situation. And it seems to me, again, according to this report, that the roof might be starting to cave in a little bit. Let's go on over and transition and talk about what I just alluded to right there, which is the defense has been stepping up and getting the better of the offense in the last few days of training camp. And there's a lot of people who are concerned. Jayden Daniels has still looked good for the most part. He's not really the one making mistakes. I know he's had some interceptions, but there's been miscommunications on routes, dropped balls, tipped balls. The offensive line hasn't held up. Receivers are struggling to break free. There's a lot of that going on. And I want to start first by issuing a reminder. Defenses normally start ahead of offenses. If you're looking at Sportsbook over-unders for week 1, a lot of the times the totals in week 1 are going to be lower than they would be in week 9 because offense is very rhythm-based. Defense, of course, you need chemistry and communication and cooperation. Of course, you need all of that. But if you just pick random guys off the street and you line them up, it's easier for the defense because you're responsible for guarding a man or you're responsible for guarding an area. There's not as much timing and familiarity that goes into it as it does playing offense. Now, once you get that timing and communication down, the offense usually has a higher ceiling. Otherwise, games would end 0-0. Defenses wouldn't allow a point. But the defenses do start ahead of the offenses. And one other thing, really a couple of things I also want to point out here. Offenses in training camp, particularly with where we're at right now, Cliff Kingsbury's not installing a game plan. He's installing a playbook. He's not looking at the defense, in this case, Whitt Jr.'s defense, and saying, how am I going to counter what they're throwing at me? He's saying, we need to learn this play. We're doing a 3rd down drill here, 3rd and 5 from the 15. This is the play we're going to call. Here's another play we're going to call. We're just going through, getting the rhythm, getting the reps. We're not going out there diagnosing what's happening on the other side of the field, referring back to our scout, and then finding a solution to that problem. That's not what's happening. Also, Dan Quinn on a call with 106.7 The Fan this morning said that sometimes practices are scripted to be difficult for a player or a position group or a certain side of the ball. He referenced yesterday, being Tuesday's training camp, as a lot of deep shots against man coverage. Those are low efficiency plays. You're not going to complete 70% of your passes against like you would against soft zones. But when you do complete them, they're going to be these huge chunk plays. So that's what you're looking for. You're trying to get Jayden the reps of the deep balls, trying to get the offensive line reps for holding up in the pocket without additional blockers. And then you're also seeing who's going to step up in the receiving room. In the horrible world, the horrible reality in which Terry McLaurin isn't on the field when the season starts, who's your deep ball receiver? Terry McLaurin was one of the best deep ball receivers in the league last year because he's great, but also because Jayden threw such a pretty deep ball. Debo's not going to be the deep ball threat for the most part, we think. Maybe Jalen Lane's speed makes him that guy. Michael Strachan is 6'5", 6'6". He might not even be on the team, but if he is, can he be the guy? Chris Moore's turned some heads. We talked about Ja'Cory Brooks, an undrafted free agent from Louisville who caught multiple touchdowns on the first day of practice. They're just getting reps and they're trying things out to see who is going to step up amongst this group. But it's not an indication that the offense is struggling. It's just it's testing yourself, testing the limits of players and teams in situations. Now, if we get to week 8 and the offense is averaging 15 points a game, yeah, I'm going to say there are some struggles. Yeah, I'm going to say there are some concerns. But I remember last year when the Commanders supposedly got dominated by the Dolphins and dominated by the Jets in joint practices. And then you see the first preseason game, Jayden audibles to basically all verticals, I think, all go routes, throws like a 40-yard bomb on his first possession in preseason, and he's done for the day. And then we know what happened during the regular season. I just smacked my table. Sorry, the camera shook there. We know what happened during the regular season. The guy was awesome. So I'm not worried about that. What I do find interesting amongst all of this, and I talked about this yesterday, is that it does seem like there's a lot of movement, a lot of motion, a lot of pre-snap shenanigans and disguises turning into exotic blitzes from the defense. That's great. I want the defense to have that in their bag, and I like that the offense is kind of getting this baptism by fire. Going back to why the offense is struggling, maybe it has something to do with Laramie Tunsil getting a veteran rest day. Maybe it's Josh Connerly Jr. not always getting reps with the ones. Or maybe Andrew Wiley is better than Connerly at this point, and maybe it's Andrew Wiley not always getting reps with the ones. There's just a lot going on. There's a lot of things at play. There's no need to worry about it. I'm excited to see the defense. Like I said, I'm excited to see these exotic blitzes and what they can, how they can influence games. But considering there's that going on against an offense and an offensive line with constant moving pieces, which doesn't have a game plan installed, which also, without Terry McLaurin, the only true man coverage beater receiver is not even out on the field. So no, I'm not worried about the defense being ahead of the offense. I did mention the Commanders are going up to New England for a joint practice next week. This is I don't know what to call it exactly. I guess it's disappointing, obviously, just as a football fan from that perspective. Christian Gonzalez, shut down young corner from the Patriots, suffered a hamstring injury on Monday. His week 1 availability is supposedly not in jeopardy, but it is expected to cause him to miss some time during training camp. I'm going to assume that means they'll remove him from competitive environments, which means he probably won't be in the joint practice and he probably won't be in the preseason game. It's not the worst thing in the world because without Terry, you don't want the receivers to be overwhelmed. And we are still assuming a Terry deal gets worked out eventually. But that being said, I would never complain about going against the best competition because I would rather them have their toughest tests in the training camp and preseason than during the regular season. I would like them to go out there and think that it's easier in the regular season than what they've been training against. But just a little bit of news, thought I would put that out there. We are going to close it out by talking about Mike Tannenbaum, who is a former NFL analyst and executive. He was on First Take, and he gave his top 5 quarterbacks in the NFC. And this list it's a little crazy to me. At number 5, he had Baker Mayfield, 4 Jalen Hurts, 3 Jared Goff, 2 Jayden Daniels. Now, I know you're asking yourself, who's number 1? Is he a Dak Prescott guy? Matthew Stafford, maybe, because he won a Super Bowl? It's Jordan Love. Jordan Love was his number 1 quarterback in the NFC. Naturally, I'm going to say Jayden played the best of all NFC quarterbacks last year because he did. There are going to be people out there who say that's one season. That doesn't mean that he is the best. It means that he had the best season. He's not the best player. And I can understand that perspective. The right to demanding the right to actually earn your spot there. I'm cool with that. If that's how you feel, as long as you can acknowledge Jayden was the best quarterback in the NFC last year, I'm okay with you putting him at 2, 3, 4, 5, wherever it is. It's the people who have this Jordan Love obsession that I just don't understand. I wouldn't mind if he had Jared Goff ahead of Jayden, and Jayden was 2. I wouldn't mind if Jalen Hurts was number 1. I wouldn't mind if Baker was number 1. I would object, but I wouldn't mind it. If I'm making my list of top 5 quarterbacks in the NFC, Jordan Love's not even in the top 5 for me. In no order, because I haven't sat down and thought about this, but my top 5 would be Matthew Stafford, Jayden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Baker Mayfield, and Jalen Hurts. I would have to... if we're just thinking about a 7-on-7 game, I would take Dak Prescott over Jalen Hurts. But when you factor in the playoffs and how Jalen's played 2 terrific games in Super Bowls, and Dak Prescott disappears in the playoffs, then he loses that battle to Jalen Hurts. Dak Prescott, you could make an argument Dak Prescott's better than Jared Goff. Goff's just in a terrific situation, which he is. I could hear those arguments. Point being, Jordan Love doesn't come up in any of those. So if we're going based off of this list, where Jayden Daniels is number 2, I don't know how he's not number 1. But again, that's just my thoughts. I assume a lot of people are going to be on my side because this is a Commanders community that we have here. But if you'd like to, feel free to go to the comment section. Leave me your NFC quarterback top 5. If you want to rank the entire NFC and you're a sicko like that, I am too, and I'm here for it, and I will talk to you about your list. But whatever thoughts you got, go to the comment section. Remember to vote in the poll. Which name do you want? The current name, the old name, or a new name? And as always, I will catch you all in the next one. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and most importantly, have a great day.